truth and preservation of our soul shine. I can feel it, yours and mine. Close your eyes and witness it inside. In your bones, you will know. Trust and let go, and let it flow.
Welcome to another episode of All Things in the Name of Love. Today I have with me Heidi Careaga. Am I saying that? Careaga?
Careaga.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Who I met on my journey recently, and her energy is so amazing and light, and I just felt compelled to reach out and talk to her about her spiritual journey. So, Heidi, thank you so much for your time and your presence and sharing your journey. Let's start with when you first realized you were a spiritual being.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you, Sophia. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure. Appreciate this this time in this space. Well, what comes up to me and what's been coming up to me recently is a time when I think I was 9 years old, and I was writing in my notebook, and I wrote, "I don't want to be here."
Mm-hmm.
And I felt very uncomfortable. I remember feeling very uncomfortable being here in every aspect of my beingness. Like, I felt very uncomfortable in my body. I felt very uncomfortable with my family. I felt very uncomfortable in every part of it, the school, everything. And I can remember writing that, and that has come up several times recently as being like when I really realized that I don't belong here. Like, I'm not of this world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, this is weird. Where am I? and I can remember asking, at the time I was going to church, and I was brought up Methodist, but I can remember asking God to take me, because I was just like, I knew that I felt that I didn't belong here.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have beliefs, but that's when I first probably realized that, I didn't, probably not the first time I realized I was a spiritual being, but probably that has been brought up, because that's when I realized that I was very uncomfortable with who I was. So yeah, that I was a spiritual being, I think probably in my 20s.
Okay.
I finally got the the knock in my head saying, okay, you're not, you're more than this body.
Yeah.
Message, you're not this body. Message. So.
I love that. Oh my. I remember going to my minister and saying, "So how do you pray?" Right? Because it's just like nobody ever taught me. It's just, well, we pray now. I'm like, well, what does that mean? And I didn't get a good answer. I was like, well, why am I here? Like,
well,
I grew up in a congregational church, and it was the same. It was like, I get it, but like, you're not helping me.
Right. Well, and with prayer, it's funny because my sister had taught me to pray, because we had just lost my my grandmother, and so I wanted to be able to, like, I asked my sister, how do I talk to my grandmother? God. And my sister said, well, you can pray. And so when she showed me how to pray, she showed me, pray through Jesus Christ, and talk to God. And I'm like, well, why can't I just talk to God directly? Like, why do I need to talk to Jesus first? Like, that didn't make sense. So yeah, that was my introduction to actually praying, because we had prayed in church, but I had never took it on myself to pray by myself. So I was like, well, you can just pray. Okay.
Yeah, I
So-
know.
So
I've
to talk to my grandmother, I was told to talk to Jesus, to talk to God, to talk to my grandmother. So yeah, it was
yeah. Oh my, I remember reading a few years ago, Greg Braden had broken down the construction of what praying really is. And it's basically bringing your emotions into like feeling the prayer.
right.
I'm like, why is the feeling part completely removed from this? Because like when, I mean, that's the whole idea of manifestation. Everything is like when you feel, you're already experiencing it, because our minds don't know the difference between what we think and what we experience.
Right.
So
Yeah, I think I just saw a video of him talking about where he does the emotion with rain. He does
mm,
practice with someone in a town with some rain, and they they feel the rain coming. They feel the rain
mhm.
and start praying for rain, because he asked the guy, I guess the guy is like the local indigenous person there for they were praying for rain. We're going to do a prayer. And he asked him, well, when are you going to pray? And he said, no, if I prayed, then I believe that rain doesn't exist.
Mm,
But if I feel the rain on my feet and feel the mud and feel this and feel that, then I'm bringing the rain.
mhm. That's a powerful, powerful shift in our awareness that's actually how powerful we are.
Yeah. So it's like when I want a new car, I have to smell the leather.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Yeah.
I'm literally I'm going to be moving, and I'm literally visualizing the space I'm going to be in. I'm already feeling it.
Yeah.
I don't even I've never been to Orcas Island, and yet I'm feeling it. Like I'm feeling the mist, I'm feeling the trees, I'm feeling the little space I'm going to be in, I'm feeling the kitchen. Like I'm already feeling into it, and I already know who I'm going to be connecting with because I felt them. And so instead of my normal feeling of dread when I move, I'm having a 5-month vacation on an island. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I always get excited about moving. I always love moving.
cool.
I love the down part of it,
Hmm.
that you get rid of a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I already have so many times. Like, I've moved so many times since I've been down in Shasta. It's not even funny. So like I have a bare minimum of what I need, and but it's fun. It's like there's this funness about the newness, and something that I'm feeling an awareness come in. So I've had lifelong anxiety. The other day I realized, as I'm in the middle of a panic attack in the middle of the night, I'm like, you know what? This is just trapped energy. It's not anxiety at all. So I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I danced and I sang, and like 10 minutes later, it was gone. Have you ever experienced a discomfort with emotions? And if so, how do you navigate it?
Okay, well, the Heidi before, um, the Heidi before didn't even know
Mm,
the emotion part of life, and that how you could look at it in a different way. Because I would just get trapped in it. I would get literally trapped in the emotion and think that I was the emotion, and that everything that the emotion was telling me that was happening was actually happening. So,
mhm,
um, like when I would get upset at something, that upset would last a long time. When I would get sad, the sadness would last a long time. So, but now, it doesn't. I'm very much more aware even when something's coming on, I can feel, when I'm starting to have like a little bit of an upset in my about something, I can feel it, and I can choose to to engage in it or not, because sometimes it's fun to engage in the argument and and do the back and forth. So I can feel that this when sadness comes, because lately, and I think it's part of like the ascension symptoms that we're going through, is when the sadness comes, sometimes it's overwhelming.
Mhm.
And sometimes I can blame it on either the hormones or whatever.
Mhm.
But I can also recognize it and do the same thing, either choose to just accept it, let it flow as it naturally needs to flow, or try to work against it. Like I could say, like, and I won't say against it, but work for a quicker solution through it.
Mhm.
Because if I just choose to go into it, it's like, oh, okay, well, I'll just take a day and watch TV and enjoy and get my Kleenexes out and be prepared for it. But I think right now I'm more aware of of when it's coming on, so I'm to handle it and be to know where it came from. Also, I think is important. Sometimes, especially like in the last maybe year, what the emotions that I've had come up are things that from the past, from traumas that have happened like way back that I don't even remember happening,
Mhm.
that are coming up. And being aware of that, I think, is important. What we were talking about earlier before we started the call was that, when you have these things come up, you're able to look at them and go, oh, thank you.
Mhm.
Bye. I don't need you anymore. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
So that happens. I'm a pretty solid person as far as like my emotions don't go crazy. I do get like spurts of joy and happiness to come out, but I'm pretty even as far as my emotions. I don't get when I get upset, I don't usually get upset at people. I just get upset at situations.
Mhm.
Don't have burst out or anything like that. I used to, but then I recognize that where these things come from.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
that helps.
learning how to like not blame the person for pressing the button is
Right.
it's been like transformational for me. Because
Yeah.
like the awareness of nobody can possibly hurt me ever. All they can do is walk up to me and press the button that my subconscious plays a story that tells me I'm something I'm not.
Right.
And so once I had that awareness of like, oh, I'm getting triggered right now. I wonder what's here. And not ignore, but like, okay, thank you, person, for triggering me, or thank you, thing that triggered me. What is it in here that's telling me that this is a reality that isn't? Because otherwise I wouldn't be feeling this. Um,
Right.
that's just that's so much fun.
Yeah, and sometimes I even see people like a you want to judge people.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you want to, but I'm saying like when you want to judge people,
Uh-huh.
now it comes back at me.
Mm-hmm.
What I do is I look at somebody, and if I have that urge to judge, I kind of like look at it and go, okay, wait a second. If this person is in my reality right now, there's something that I need
Mm-hmm.
this. So
Mm-hmm.
it takes that judgment really fast through
Yeah.
little process, my little computer, I think, process of, wait a second, Heidi, what is it that you need why is this person here showing you this right
Right.
now? So it changes the judgment into a reflection
Mm-hmm.
who I am and what I need to see. And what's also a beautiful thing about that too is that, you know, when beautiful people come into my reality, it's the same confirmation of, well, look at who you are. Thank you. Oh, that's nice. Really. So
Yeah.
it goes both ways, you know, when you see the negative things about you and then you see the positive, it's just, they're all like, for me, a lot of it is reflection of who I am and where I've, you know, what I need to do. So
Yeah.
it takes the fun out of judging people.
Yes. Which is a beautiful gift. Because you know, when you realize that all of that judgment is really you,
Exactly.
it's like, oh, I mean, thank you. But it's that shift in awareness is like, oh no, I've been judging people my whole life. What are they telling me? That can be really a beautiful gift of awareness that you may not have any desire to go through. But
Well, and it's fun to play with when, like, when you ask, like, for example, sometimes I'll ask the universe, show me the best version of me.
Mm,
And I will get people in my life, you know, like if I go out into public, right, I'll have the best cashier. I'll have the best waiter. I'll have the best, you know, I'll have the friendliest person on the street. And
mhm.
I'm just, okay, thank you. That's, you know, that's what I needed to see.
Yep.
Because sometimes we're, you know, if you do that exercise of you know, the reflection, sometimes you're only getting these negative things that you need to work on, but sometimes we need those positive
Mhm.
like things in our life that say, yeah, Heidi, you're you got this. Sophia, you're on the right track.
Yeah.
Love seeing that too. And I love asking for that because I think that's important that we get those confirmations of who we are.
Mhm. I agree, because like we can get, and this is I haven't had a television since 1998. Because not because I saw the programming, but because I saw that that was the only tether I had with my ex-husband, and I wanted to see what would happen if I turned off cable. And then the relationship ended. Um, intended consequence, I guess. But because of that, I haven't been exposed to a lot of what the mainstream has conditioned us into believing. So I've been on this fun journey of finding out frequencies and resonance for myself. That's how my left brain understands all of this as frequencies. It's very happy going into the quantum physics realm and playing there and then coming back and like, okay, I understand now. You can go into consciousness. But how have you been navigating the past, I'll say, since March 2020?
Oh goodness. You're gonna go back there.
There.
Okay, so it's funny. I'm gonna go even before that.
Okay.
In January of 2020, I was given this message. And the message came with this great urge, sort of like what you're feeling right now, the move to where you're moving. But I was given this like message that you're going to need to quit your job and you're going to need to stock up on whatever you need to stock up on. And you're going to be moving. Right. So what I did immediately, you know, and I've learned since then, you know, how to ask like how immediate are these plans.
Mhm.
What I just started doing is I went on online, and I went and bought up a whole bunch of toilet paper. I bought up a whole bunch of things that I thought I'm going to need because I'm quitting my job. Like, if I'm going to be without an income, I need to have these things stored, right? So I went like on this like buying spree of things. Well, then I did quit my job, and then COVID was announced. Um, and obviously I was like, okay, well, if I quit my job, then nobody's going to hire me during COVID. So I took back my resignation. You know, my boss didn't accept my resignation at that point, but he's like, have to stay. But how, okay, so the question is, how have I seen things? Is that, or how have I been navigating? It was very difficult. I have a 17, well, at the time she was 15. I have a couple daughters.
Okay.
3 daughters, and none of them really understand totally what's happening. And the one that's 17 now, she was 15 then, was living with me, and we were, that whole thing was coming out about the Black Lives Matter. Those things were out on the, you know, on the social media, the news, everything. So that was just twisting everybody, you know, into this like war. In Oregon, as you know, there's a very low amount of African Americans that live there. So the racism, I really don't know, like in bigger cities how it is. Where I was at, hiring, we had very few people, few African Americans. We had more Pacific Islanders in our area. Like that was the same as there. But so we had some attacks on our website where I worked of that. The Black Lives Matter things, you know, people were attacking. And then just seeing that and feeling the humanity, the lack of humanity in all of it. Just sort of like like what happened? Like what's actually happening here in this world? Why are we being like pitted against each other in this way? And I think that was a big shift and a wake-up call for me, as to like it's purposely done, right? Like it's obviously on purpose. People don't actually feel like this. We don't actually hate each other. We don't actually feel this way about each other. And so I did that's when I started doing more digging into like what's really going on. Like, why are we being told that we hate each other when we don't? Because I knew that we didn't, right? But it was turning my daughter against me.
Oh, wow.
Because of things that were said, and the whole, you know, identify as this, I identify as that. And that became a topic of discussion in her school. And it, you know, when I sat down with her and talked to her about what I thought about that, all of those things, I was like, this is crazy. You know, it was all like a lot of confusion, a lot of hate, a lot of, I'm going to call it programming, for, you know, for lack of another word, that we were being taken down, right? Like, we were taken on this road of like all this, and we have at the time, and I still do, we had my mom living with me. So she comes from a different generation, a different belief. She's been following, you know, a lot of things that have been happening. She's been following it for over 20 years. So she's seen, you know, the progress. And for me, I never got involved in the politic part of it, but I had to, you know, I had to go down that route to be able to figure out some of the things and the changes of the energy, you know, that's been happening too. So I think navigating that was very hard.
Yeah.
Navigating the the work, the masks, the vaccinations, the to vax, to no vax, to travel, you know, because my daughters live in part-time, or well, they're from Mexico, they're born in Mexico. And so for them to go back to the United States, they needed to get the vaccination, needed to see their dad, you know, they needed to have that. So that was very difficult for me to watch, and to be, you know, to be so against it, and to be to know what I knew without even seeing anything scientific. Like, I knew what the vax was when it came out, and it terrified me, you know, it terrified me. And trying to give some information, what little information I could find on it at the time, trying to give it to their dad, so that, you know, it's like, no, I don't want them to get vaccinated. I even had one of my daughters stay in Mexico so she wouldn't have to come back. She wouldn't need the vaccination to get back. I told her, just stay. I don't want you to get the vax, stay. And so that was difficult to handle. And that lasted, you know, about a year. And then now I just don't really talk about it much with my family, talk about anything that's really happening. Some things have come up with my son-in-law. But you know, you win some, you lose some, conversations. And I just know that right now, with my conversations with my daughters, the only thing I can talk to them about is them. I can't have conversations about, you know, anything else, or what I'm really doing right now. And that has been also limited with other friends, you know. I can't talk to them about it. So that has disconnected me from some friends. Also gained a whole nother, you know, I've gained another more, I don't know how you call it, like a different type of friendship, a different type of family, because we know where we're going, we know what's happening, we're on our way. And so that's amazing. I think the split, you know, that I've had to do, and many of us have had to do with family and friends, has been difficult. You know, because we do so, things are still happening in our families that we want to be a part of. We can participate, but we can participate to a certain point. Right. Like, we can't be, like, I can't be all Heidi when I'm with them. I have to restrain myself from things that I say, because I know they feel a different way. And it's very different, because I raised my girls differently. And like, I raised them, all three of them, I raised them spiritually. And to see what the programming has done to them is very saddening. Because it's the, and I'm hoping that they're not going to stay in that position, because I'm, you know, I have been giving them information little by little, what I can, but it's far beyond what I can, like, there's more information than I can give them. I just can't explain it. They have to have that knowing, and I have to accept that they will have that knowing when the time is. So
I completely understand that. I was living in Portland, and I started coming down here in Shasta in December 2020. Like, I had a whole dissolution of a long relationship that took a long time to do. And like, when I first came, when I first got the call, I was on a group call with a sister of mine, and she said, well, I'm down in Shasta and I'm teaching embodiment to guys. And 4 of us were like, we're all coming down to meet these spiritual guys in Shasta. Well, it turned out I was the only one that came. And I didn't meet anyone except for her because she was the only one I really wanted to come for anyways. And ended up moving here after, like, I prayed for divine intervention and got an ankle twist that caused me not to drive for 3 weeks, and found like everything was like boom, 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 boom. Okay, you're set up. You have to leave Portland now. And I was the only one that could feel what the program was. And it was really, really hard, like in my family and all my friends. And so it was really hard because I felt like I was kicked out because I had a different belief system. And my sense was it felt like I heard Deutschland über alles when I first saw the campaigns coming out. And I was like, am I in Germany in 1939? What's going on? I mean, I really felt it. And then I saw the programming come out and I was like, oh my gosh, because I actually studied World War II when I got my dissertation. And I'm like, that's German programming. That was going to be my original dissertation was going to be about German propaganda versus American propaganda. So I know what it looks like. And I was like, oh my, this is more slick. This is more like, it was terrifying to me. So I'm grateful. I don't know, like on certain levels, relating with people on different levels. It's this slow navigation. Here I can be me because I'm in Shasta and Shasta. But like going outside and having conversations with people about what's happening in so many levels, like, yes, well, I mean, I only know from our perspective what's happening globally. But like, even let's say the bank crisis, it's not actually a bank crisis. But because like I'm like trying to unpack everything I've learned and try to describe to somebody, in which I was asked today, so tell me about this thing that's happening with the global currency. I'm like, you want that in a text? Okay, you can't do that. But here's a summary of what I can, like the basic 2-paragraph summary of what I can tell you. Get these currencies and don't panic. Like, that's pretty much the message I can give. But like, I've noticed for me, as I've tuned more into my inner sense, like, I can love everyone and accept them where they're at. But in terms of wanting to spend time with people, if I can't feel if I'm not on the same frequency, I can't spend time with them. And it's really fascinating. And I'm not sure what that is, other than I feel like I'm ascending. But it's been a really strange journey of navigating how to interrelate again in a space where the programming is to divide.
Yeah, and I get that, because I even right now, I mean, we're in 2023 right now.
Yeah.
And there's some things, that are advertised here locally that are events that I would have gone to when I was here before.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no desire.
Mm-hmm.
I have desire to, walk into a room and engage and try to engage and pick up those energies from people. Mm-hmm. And try to decipher what is what. I don't have that interest anymore to do that.
Yeah.
I if I automatically know that they're all like-minded and they can go in there because I go in with caution. I go in with caution with my own aura, right? That I'm keeping that safe. And then I go in with caution that I don't feel free to speak how, if somebody asks me a question, do I answer? How do I answer? What do I say?
Right. I totally get that.
Yeah.
So I love that you were talking about checking your aura and navigating your time outside, because I get that sense too. It's like I have the gift of spending most of my time alone. And once a week I host dinners here, and I bring all my tribe in, and we have a beautiful time, and I love being a hostess. And yet, and these are people that I know are like-minded, and I know they're vibrating the right frequency. They still take 2 days to recover from it.
And it could be the energies that they're bringing from other people. They're out there, and yeah, I'm a host. I love to have people in my house, and I love to do things like that, but not lately. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with it. And then when it comes time, like I think about it, because I used to have huge parties, and when I even think about having just one couple over here with me dinner or something, it doesn't feel right. I just feel like, no, we'll meet at a neutral place where each person take their stuff and go. Because the same, like your house isn't the same afterwards. Like the energy of your house changes. You have an animal at your house, right? The animal gets affected by the energies too. And I notice it with my mom. She gets affected by people's energy. I don't think she realizes it, but I notice it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we have to be careful. And what's going to be really nice is that when we're all able to just speak and just know, know. And I think that's what I'm really anxious for. Anxious is that I'm really looking forward to that, where we just know where we are and who we're with, and we don't have to worry about any of that anymore.
So that brings up a cool question. Where are you feeling the shifts in consciousness right now?
Well, honestly, I think we're like there. I feel like we're literally like, if I compare it to like a soda, right? That you open, that you're twisting up, it's like like I literally feel like we're there. And I feel like in my case, I feel really positive in that I've done a lot of work. I've done a lot of, past trauma. I think I've probably gone through all of my ancestral work too. Thank you.
Thank you for all of that. So grateful. You can stop now.
No, because one of these jokes I have whenever I'm going through something like that, like that sadness I told you that I had gone through. I make a joke and I say, okay, give me more. Like, I can handle it. Give me more. Like, I'm ready.
Oh man.
I just want it all over with. I don't want it to be popping up at random places. It's like, okay, bring it on. Now that we're here, we're in this, let's get this taken care of.
Get it all out. Get it all out.
Yeah. And I've seen so many positive shifts in people too. Like I have this blessing in disguise, or that I have my mom living with me. So it's very good, because I can see when I've done my work, or when she's done her work, I can see
Mm,
the relationship change, like
mhm.
in a relationship. And it's a wonderful thing to see, you know,
Yeah.
because sometimes it's, you know, we haven't ever had a bad relationship, but we haven't had the best relationship. Like
Mhm.
she's very different than I am. I'm very loving, I'm very cuddly, I'm very, you know, affectionate, and she's not. So I don't have that mother that comforts me.
Mhm.
I have a mother that tells me what to do. So, which is fine. It's her way of, I guess, showing love, and that's what she received.
Yeah.
So, it's very interesting, you know, where I've seen from her where she wasn't very uh like, how do you call it, affectionate, but she's becoming affectionate.
Hmm.
Not with me, but she's becoming affectionate.
Okay.
So I see that and I appreciate that, and it's very nice to see. How,
Mhm.
do I wish it were with me? Yeah, in a way I do. But it's also nice that I can see it and go, wow, that is something that her heart's opening,
Mm.
you know, to that affection, because her affection has been turned off for, I don't know, 35 years
Oh, wow.
from previous, you know, relationships that she's had with men.
Okay.
So, but I'm watching that and I'm like, okay, you go, mom.
Cool.
You
Yeah,
go.
I love doing ancestral work because I know I can feel the shifts down the lineage. I see it in my mom. I feel her heart opening where she's got moderate dementia. Um, but I can feel her heart opening more.
Yeah.
Really, really beautiful. And I'm so grateful that I have the courage to do it because I know she doesn't.
Well, and you have no choice.
Right.
You know, you right now, I think in the last year, I mean, I've just felt like I don't have a choice. Like
Right.
I have to, I'm doing it or I'm doing it. Because my
Mhm.
sister's not doing it, my daughters maybe are doing it in some form that they don't know that they're doing it, but consciously I'm doing it.
Right.
So, um, so for me, it's like I have no choice. And I think that's really wonderful to see that those shifts. So I see those shifts and I think, okay, this is great. I've seen shifts in David, you know, I'm like, okay, that's interesting. You know, like that happened. Okay. He said something or acted some way, and I'm like, okay, that was different. That's
Yeah.
interesting. So it's wonderful to see that, and then even like to go out into the world, right? Out into the world and hear people, and you know where they're at,
Mhm.
and or even not to hear people, just how they're acting,
Right.
how they are. I see people as like, I look at them and I'm like, they're literally like angels, you know? I look at their
Mhm.
light and I'm like, look how beautiful they are.
Wow.
It's interesting to just see people in their light, you know,
Mhm.
have that shown to you. Because I also asked for that, you know,
Yeah.
like I was telling you, I asked to see myself. I asked to see people's divine presence.
I love
I
that.
get to see that. So it's beautiful.
You know, and that brings up the gift that we have of what we choose to see.
Exactly.
You can literally ask. I've actually asked for um, all the assistance I need for organization and easeful movement up to Orcas Island.
Yeah.
Feel it. I already feel it. I'm like, my old self, the little researcher, dig,
Right.
I gotta find this. And I saw myself starting to do that because I felt the need for action.
Right.
Um, and I spent an hour searching and looking at things and finding 2 farms that I've reached out to. But then I heard, "Stop. You're done. Ask." I was like,
Right.
"Okay, I'll just ask." So I'm just asking now for this to be useful, and because I'm feeling that it is, I know it is.
Right. Well, it's ease and grace. And when you ask for ease and grace in anything, you get it. You
Mhm.
know, he just comes along and goes, hey, do you want to do this? And you're like, okay, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, it's just it's that easy. It's not simple, but it's that easy. I mean, yes,
Well, yeah, and we get into this motive that we have to do, when if we just asked, that do would be reduced by a third or more.
Mhm.
Yeah, I found that when I moved to Mexico last year, it's been a year now. Well, it's
Oh.
been a in like well, yeah, it's been a year since I left my house in Mexico. Um, it was it was a process because in February, before we moved in January, I decided January 17th or 27th, I came back from Mexico and said, okay, we're moving. It's official now. And my mom got really sick in February. She
Oh.
stopped eating. She couldn't go to the bathroom by herself. It was just, so I'm in the middle of this move and she has a total body breakdown.
Wow.
Oh, and it went on for a month.
Wow.
Oh, taking care of her, trying to organize this move, it was like, okay, what do I do? And my daughter, I have a 22-year-old, she was going crazy. She was like, Mom, why haven't you packed anything? Why is not anything packed? I'm like, it's all packed here. Do not worry. I've put it all here. It'll get done.
Yeah.
And it, it just started flowing and it started moving at the pace it needed to do, because I had to have certain things for my mom in the house, remain in the house until we were ready to move her.
Right,
And she
right.
out like around the 27th of March, with my sister. They came here, and then I had a couple days to get her bed out of the house so I had things that I just moved on with time.
Mhm.
And at the time, my daughter moved out of the house to move into her house in Eugene. So there were multiple moves happening at the same time. And it all worked out. It all worked out very easily. I had a car there too that this guy, came over to my house to buy something that I was selling, and he saw the sign on my car that I was selling it, and he said, "Hey, I'm a car salesman. If you want, I can put it on the lot." And
I love that.
took it and put it on the lot, and it was like
Boom.
I didn't have to go shopping for somebody to help sell me my car.
Amazing.
I figured I'd sell it privately. If I couldn't sell it, I'd leave it with somebody, and I ended up selling it. So everything just happened. Like, I let it happen. Some things I was trying to force, but a lot of things I just let happen. And when you let it happen, the solutions come to you.
Hmm. Yeah, that's been an interesting lesson for me. But I've seen, especially down here, I mean, I can't adequately explain how trippy it is to live in Mount Shasta, because that mountain is so freaking powerful. She will show all of your shadows for you, every single one. Usually like I haven't had a day where I haven't had an awareness come in, like a deep one. And I'm like, uncle, stop. But also the magic here. I've made eye contact with eagles. I've never done that before. I have trees talk to me. I have rocks talk to me. And it's not like a communication, it's an energy exchange.
Right.
And I do a modality called body talk, which is a quantum healing thing with animals. And the communications I have with animals is fascinating, because I never expected animals would communicate with me like they do. And I'm in my right brain. I'm literally writing chicken scratch in the sessions, and feeling what they need come through on such a profound level, because I'm open. And I don't know this, but for me, it's been the more I release the programs, the easier I am to connect with the non-physical energy that's surrounding me all the time.
Right. And one of the things that I had to get past, like on my spiritual journey, was that I couldn't do what somebody else could do. So for example, I was at a conference where like I was with like Stephen Farmer. He's written books on animal spirit guides.
Oh, cool.
With Doreen Virtue that did the contact with the angels, and Louise Hay, and it was in one of her bigger conferences.
Okay.
I was looking at these people, and I had this instant download of, because I was looking at them as if I didn't have that ability that they had. And I had this download of, why would you even think that you don't have the ability?
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized that was like a program that I had inside of my head, that it was something like that was not, I was not able to ever attain. It's like an unattainable type of ability. And when I started changing that in myself, that's when I started having those types of contacts where, well, yeah, why wouldn't my, even, I'm not going to say it, it sounds so weird because people might freak out, but why wouldn't my couch talk to me?
My car talks to me.
Yeah, why wouldn't it? It's like
I a couple of years ago, I was driving up to Ashland, and it was ice. There was ice on I-5, and my ego is like, I don't want to go 30 miles an hour. I'm going to pass this truck. Well, I almost slammed into an 18-wheeler with a 4-wheel drive BMW. I mean, she's an ancient steel thing that is like solid as a rock. And all of a sudden, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm having a near-death experience, I hear from her, if you pull up behind the car or the truck, I will keep you safe. I'm like, my car's talking to me. But like, I didn't care at the time. I was like, oh, she's trying to keep me safe. And I have my dear friend Angela with me. And I'm like, I'm not going to kill her too. And Angela's just in this beautiful state of embodiment and peace and loving. And she knows I'm going to be fine. I'm having this for myself. So car talks to me. I get up to Ashland, I stop at the rest station, and I process everything, because I'm like, I can't process it while I'm driving because the curves up to Ashland and everything. And normally I love driving up there because I have a Beamer. And she loves going the curves way faster than the speed limit. But ever since then, because I had that experience, she talks to me regularly, and it's like, why wouldn't she? I mean, because ultimately, when we break it down, we're just quarks,
right,
of quantum energy that don't even come into existence until we pay attention.
right.
So why is she different from me?
Exactly.
Why is couch different from me? Why is table different from me? Like, nothing is different. Like, on that level, because we're all energy, why is it impossible?
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm having a conversation normally, but I feel it. And so like slowing down, that's been a big thing for me, is like slowing down to be able to feel the energy. It's magical. It's magical when we slow down.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. And a couple days ago I had this something happened to me where everything dropped. I was in my house in the morning before we went grocery shopping, and I was putting away some dishes, and I put the dish down, and you know how you calculate,
Yeah.
you calculate where you set things down so you don't have to look
Mm-hmm.
down. Well, I went to set something down and it fell. And it fell like literally like right off the counter.
Oh, wow.
I moved something again and I set it down and again it fell. I'm like, what's happening?
Oh, interesting.
Then we went to the supermarket and the same thing. I was looking at some of the things on the shelf and every time I put something back on the shelf, it fell. And
Oh,
we got all
fascinating.
groceries away and I took the groceries out of the bag and I'm putting them on the counter and they're falling. And I'm like, and what I had realized that probably was happening was that I hadn't created the counter fast enough. Like I was
Oh, yeah.
for it to like
Mm-hmm.
be
Just had to put your
solid.
attention on it.
Yeah, for the
Wow.
it was dropping because everything I set down and the same thing happened in the shelf. Like I put something on the shelf and it fell. Like the shelf
That's fascinating.
there, but yeah. So I told David, I said, I think I haven't created the counter yet. Like in my head, I hadn't created it.
Yeah.
It was funny. Everything, it was sort of like there was this much space
Mm-hmm.
between, the counter where I was like putting it down and it just kept falling right there.
Wow.
And the same thing when I took things out of the bag and the counter, I put it down and I had avocados all over the freaking floor.
Wow. I love
So I had this like sensation where I was like I was here and not here.
Mm-hmm.
So it was weird.
I had a couple months ago, I was sitting down on the ground and I actually saw the molecules like settle into themselves. And I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, that is so wild. And then I got dizzy because like my eyes, because I saw it and I was like, oh, this is really, really cool. But then my left brain went, I cannot process this because it
Well,
was too much.
yeah, and it's funny because when I was younger, we had the ceiling where I used to watch the ceiling and the ceiling would actually move. And it would go up and it would go down and it would move.
Mhm.
And I thought, oh, well, that's really cool, right? Well, then as I studied more about, what things really are and that we can move them and that they do move, right? There's all these particles put together that we do, right? And I thought, oh, wow, that's cool. So I have this planter in my bedroom that the other day, it's one of those clay ones.
Mhm.
It's turned white on the bottom because of the moisture.
Mhm.
So I was painting it in my head, right? Painting it. And I was watching as the paint was going around the planter yesterday,
Mhm.
just staring at it, watching the paint like slowly go down the planter. And then it just stops. It just stops and it goes back up. So it like unpaints itself.
Oh, interesting.
In one part of my brain, like you say, the left part of your brain is like going, this isn't happening. But I was literally like saying, okay, I need to paint this planter. So I was painting it.
Mhm.
But at the same time, another part of my brain was going, no, you can't do that. No.
I know, it's so fascinating when we get these awarenesses and we're all in our right brain and it's like, of course this is happening. This is amazing. I feel it. I love it. It's incredible. And then the left brain's like, because it's so used to being the master.
Right. Right.
And
And like, I don't know if there's words to explain it, but it's sort of like we're not supposed to be creating it. We're not supposed to know that we're creating it.
right.
Because if we are doing it and we're creating it, well, then we know we're creating it, and that's too powerful, and we're not supposed to know.
Right.
So, like, you don't know that.
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah.
But we are creators innately, where we are creators, and our whole beingness. I was having this beautiful conversation with the woman who told me I was moving to Orcas Island yesterday, because she was feeling it. And she said, "Well, what do you do?" And I laughed. And I was like, "Well," and I listed all the things. She's like, "You do a lot of stuff." And I said, "Well, I'm a creator. Like, I don't have one thing I do every day. I can't.
Right.
Too boring." So like today I get to talk to you. I get to do body sock session. I get to paint. I get to make sourdough bread. Um, I get to go for a walk. Tomorrow, I don't know what tomorrow is yet. I may move a piano. I don't know. But it's like every day is different because I have set my life up to be open enough to not limit myself.
Right.
So it's really hard for me to describe what I do for a living because I don't do, I am.
Yeah, right now I'm not doing as well, and I find myself the same thing. Every day is different.
Yeah.
What do you do? Well, I don't know. Might be taking my mom out to lunch. I don't know what I'll be doing after that. I might be spending some time with my daughter. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's funny because hopefully I'll be doing more in the future. But right now it's nice just not doing.
Right. I
You know,
mean,
not
I
worrying
love
about doing.
this is a blessing that I love to do this. I love having conversations about this, and I love doing body talk sessions on animals. It's amazing. Is that the only thing I want to do every day?
Right. Yeah.
It's not even that it's boring because I don't know what the sessions are. I just channel them. Um, but it's just like I don't want to have just one thing.
Right.
So,
It's sort of like it's nice just being,
mhm.
not having to do any type of work, any type of like sort of like the whole, 9 to 5 type thing of go, 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 go. It's
Right.
nice just to wake up and go, because I wake up pretty early. I wake up at 6, 5 or 6 usually, watch the sunrise. That's one of my things that I love to do every morning is get up before the sunrise and
Mm.
birds, because we have these big, loud, they're so loud, birds outside of our window. And before the sunrise, they're just out there going, making all their ruckus, and and it's nice because I don't hear a lot of traffic. Well, I don't hear a lot of traffic where I'm at right now anyways, but I don't hear a lot of ruckus going on and outside at that moment. But yeah, it's just nice to just be in that moment of, and these moments, just not worrying about anything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
So
love
yeah,
it.
I thought of that too. We're on
I
the same schedule.
I feel that this is where we're heading in our consciousness, where we get to express ourselves every day, be the creative expressions of what we are.
Right.
And what I feel is like that old paradigm of the 9 to 5 and the zero work-life balance. That's what's disintegrating right now. So I sense that a lot of people are feeling it, and they're feeling anxious because they don't know what's unfolding. But that's the gift, is that we don't know how anything's unfolding. And the ability to feel your fears and really feel that they're the illusions that they are. Because everything that we've been programmed in separation and fear is for us to awaken through.
Yeah. And so I had, you were talking about emotions at the beginning, and one of the things that I've had come up every once in a while, it creeps up, is the fear, right? And the doubt, like, are really happening? Are things really happening the way I think that they're happening? Are things actually changing?
Mhm.
Is this awakening real, right? Like,
Yeah.
I've had those thoughts, like,
Mhm.
because it's hard not to have those thoughts when you're watching everybody else
Mhm.
follow this program or follow this reality, and you're over here going, do I pay attention to what they're doing?
Mhm.
Like, is it real what I'm thinking that's happening? So I've had this doubt come up, and it comes up and I can feel it, and it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And I really go, what is this? Like, oh, that's fear.
Mhm.
So I look at it and I'm like, no, I have to, it's what they're going through isn't real.
Mhm.
Like everything that's happening with, and even part of what I go through isn't what I have to do in this world right now isn't real. I
Right.
have to look and go, okay, no, I know where we're at. I know what's happening. I know it's coming, and part of it's already here, right?
Right.
You can see that with those, what you mentioned about the banks,
Mhm.
the banks crashing, which we know it's not really a crash, right? Oh,
Yeah.
banks crashed, really? Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Somebody asked me about that in a conversation. The other day we were in a meeting with this Rotary group that I belong to, Rotary Club that I belong to, and this guy asked me, so Heidi, what do you think about this? And I just kind of said, could you pass the butter? And he looked at me like, what? And there was no butter on the table. So he's looking around for the butter.
That's so awesome.
And
That
I
is
just
so
laughed.
awesome.
I just laughed. And then somebody quickly changed the conversation.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is.
Right.
Where is the bank crash? Where is it?
Right.
You
Right.
know,
It's
it's right with the butter. So
oh, so beautiful. So
I do a
beautiful.
lot of that in my house because sometimes my mom will start talking about Trump and she'll start talking about things that are happening,
Yeah.
right? And I don't go there. I can't.
Yeah.
It's very difficult for me to be in that space of that. And I appreciate her in there because that's where she's had to be. That's where she's done her research and that's where she's needed to be. So I appreciate her in that space. But sometimes, there will be conversations flying across the table and I'll just look out the window and go, oh, really nice day outside. Have you noticed that? Wow. Trees really look different.
I love that so much.
But because I get tired of saying, oh my God, do we have to talk about this again?
Mm-hmm.
I have to just change the subject.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I'm just feeling like this is a good time to wrap up. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for your
No,
time
thank you, Sophia.
and your space and your sharing. And I'm so grateful to know you.
Yeah, me too.
For all the light you share in the world.
Well, thank you, Sophia.
Thank
Thank
you.